right now the sea has also turned violent. The swelling in the sea is quite high. In fact, we can see huge waves from the sea. White is the color of the sea right now, as huge waves have been rushing towards the coastline, but the visibility is low. I am not very sure if I will be able to show you the visuals of the violent sea, but as of now the situation here where we are standing is only worsening. Sea water is entering our eyes even as we are lashed by the incessant rainfall that continues. It is likely that the bamboos that are constructed here will further come down. Now, if I request my video journalist to show to you the live visuals of this whole canopy collapsing because of the violent winds. We saw the first lot, the way it came around, and we just had to duck and run away from the side in order to protect ourselves. Right now you can see that the second lot is also out. The bamboos are trying to pull into the glass, even as the staff is trying to see that there isn't further damage to the glass structure there. So as of now, the violent winds, this is just an example of how terrible the situation is. These dramatic visuals show you the kind of ravages that are likely in other places around the coast of Gujarat as well, even as the landfall of Cyclone Biparjoy has already begun. Right now, the staff of the hotel are trying to make sure that this entire bamboo canopy is at least kept in a way that it won't fly out, but that is not possible. We are right now seeing the wind speeds are only surging, though the rain has abated a bit.
Right.
But it is not possible in this wind speed to stand straight. Hey! So, these are the visuals from Devbhoomi Dwarka, where the landfall has led to an increase in the wind speed, though rains have abated. The skies are overcast, and there is a continuous effort by the people here to try and make sure that there isn't any further damage to the property. Several places where trees have fallen, sheds of hutments have flown away, also poles have come down, and that is where the administration will have to gear up in order to make sure that normalcy is restored. As of now, the IMD tells us that this kind of wind speed is likely to continue for a few hours till midnight, and it's likely that this kind of violent climatic situation will continue well past a few hours by now. But as of now, we are bearing the full brunt of Cyclone Biparjoy here at Dwarka, even as the landfall has begun, and as we can see that the violent winds are bringing down several structures. It has been, one can imagine the position of the situation of the several hutments in the low-lying areas. Even as people are trying to move about, trying to reduce the damage, it is becoming increasingly difficult for normal movement. You can see that the road is completely stranded, that the road is completely empty, and that the very few people who are moving about. Yes, Cyclone Biparjoy has started its landfall, and the impact can be felt throughout the coastal belt. Saurashtra Kutch continues to be on red alert. We here at Devbhoomi Dwarka are particularly one of the worst hit places. even as the wind speeds continue to increase.
समय इतना नजदीक आ रहा है तो मैं
sorry. Thank you.
Vinaya, the wind speeds seem to be increasing and it is becoming, Vinaya, I'm not sure if you can hear me. The conditions there look very severe. The wind speeds seem to be increasing and it looks like all of you media personnel, including yourself, and I see some around you, need to maybe get to some sort of a safer situation. Is there some arrangement around you? What do you see? How many people are there and what are the kind of arrangements for you? Because it looks like the wind conditions are becoming much, much worse now.
Well, there are only a few of us in terms of the media teams which are going on with the continuous coverage of Cyclone Biparjoy, and that is where we see we are trying to support each other in order to make sure that viewers of various channels continuously get to see the live images of the kind of catastrophe that is happening due to Cyclone Biparjoy. As you can see, the condition is only growing precarious. By each passing minute, it is difficult to maintain balance. Right now, I had to be helped by two other media personnel in order to get back to my own feet because the wind was continuously pushing, and not just that, the earpiece too wouldn't stay in its place. It just flew away. So yes, this is a bit of a challenging situation here. And you know, to experience the wrath of nature in this particular manner at a time when the landfall of Cyclone Biparjoy has already begun is quite an experience.
ये जो बोट था जहाँ पर डेंजर लगा हुआ है वो टूट के विकास आप इस तरफ आ जाइए क्योंकि पत्थर बहुत तेजी से लगा है। यहाँ पर जो छोटे छोटे पत्थर हैं वो लग रहे हैं, लेकिन ये खतरनाक है। पूरा इलाका इस वक्त वीरान नजर आ रहा है, सुनसान है, यहाँ पर किसी की भी मौजूदगी नहीं है। ये पेड़ आप देख लीजिए, नारियल के पेड़ भी यहाँ पर बहुत ज्यादा हैं और वो लहरें जो मंदिर का प्रांगण है वहां तक पहुंची है क्योंकि भगवान श्री कृष्ण की ये नगरी है और यहाँ पर मंदिर ही मंदिर है। द्वारकाधीश मंदिर में 2 झंडे लगाए गए थे। हालांकि अब जो ये दूसरा मंदिर है, ये मंदिर का प्रांगण है, उस तरफ सूर्य मंदिर है। वो देखिए वो लहरें, ये दूर से हम आपको तस्वीर दिखा देते हैं न्यूज़ 18 इंडिया पर। जैसा कि मौसम विभाग की तरफ से कहा जा रहा था, ये लहरें अब क्योंकि लैंडफॉल हो चुका है और जैसा कि लैंडफॉल में होता है और जो मौसम विभाग ने अनुमान जताया था वैसा ही होता हुआ इस वक्त नजर आ रहा है। बहुत मुश्किल है हमारे लिए यहाँ से बोल पाना भी, क्योंकि अब बोलने में भी दिक्कत हो रही है। आप तक तस्वीरें पहुँचाना वाकई बेहद मुश्किल है। ये एक तरफ समुद्र है जिसकी लहरें हैं जो सब कुछ चीर देने को आमादा है और जो पानी भरेगा उसके बाद जो रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन शुरू होगा वो तो अलग होगा। लेकिन गुजरात में क्योंकि 8 जिले सबसे ज्यादा प्रभावित होंगे, जिसमें एक जिला द्वारका जहां पर मैं मौजूद हूं, बाकी मेरे सहयोगी इस वक्त मौजूद है कच्छ में, वो भी वहां पर भी रेड अलर्ट है और खड़े होने में भी दिक्कत हो रही है। इसलिए मैं बैठ करके आप तक तस्वीरें यहाँ से पहुंचाती हूँ। विकास, आप तस्वीरें दिखाते रहिए क्योंकि हवा का रुख काफी ज्यादा है। जैसे ही हवा थोड़ी कम होती है तब हम भी राहत की सांस लेते हैं, लेकिन अभी थोड़ी सी यहाँ पर लेवल डाउन होता हुआ नजर आ रहा है। यानी कि जब रफ्तार जो है 80 से 100 किलोमीटर प्रति घंटे की है, अगर वो थोड़ी सी भी डाउन हो रही है तो फिर कम से कम हम खड़े होकर के अपने आप को बैलेंस करके आप तक हम तस्वीरें पहुंचा रहे हैं। ये आप देखिए कि ऐसा तूफान, क्योंकि हमने कई लोगों से बात की है, वो कह रहे हैं अपने जीवन में उन्होंने ऐसा तूफान अनुभव नहीं किया है। The conditions are definitely getting much worse, and as the IMD has said a short while ago when the landfall process began, the period till midnight is going to be the most precarious and dangerous one. Vinaya, very quickly coming back to you as well, just give us an overall sense of the kind of damage that the authorities anticipate, especially in the first few hours of the landfall. What is it that they have prepared for?
Well, there are several aspects to this. The way they have prepared is firstly the medical emergency or the medical exigency, because remember, when such a cyclone comes, there are unprecedented and unforeseen circumstances. So if there is any accident, if there is any roof fall, if there are any structures that collapse, in that condition, the hospitals have to be equipped, especially at a time when there is likely to be electricity outage as well. In Dwarka, where we are experiencing the impact of the landfall, there already is an electricity outage, and that is why things have to operate on generator wherever possible. So firstly, it is the medical emergency situations that have to be put in place. That is where the administration says that it has been able to make sure that the hospitals are well equipped with respect to the several facilities that have been provided. Most importantly, what the administration says is that it has tried to make sure that blood supply is adequately provided in several hospitals across the coastal areas, and that in case of any emergency there should not be any shortage of blood. The doctors have been asked to be on the standby. Several pregnant women have been moved to the hospital in advance, at a time when their expected due date is around a week from here, in order to make sure that there is no loss of life in that circumstance as well. With respect to infrastructure, there is expected to be a lot of loss and damage to properties. Several electricity poles are expected to come down. Several structures may also have to bear the impact of the growing cyclone, and in that condition we are seeing that apart from the NDRF teams, several state administration machineries are also on the standby with several equipments. So land moving machines have been kept in place, electric cutters have been put in place, and we are seeing that it has been made sure that several such measures are being taken so that even after the structures come down, there is immediate measures that are put in place to make sure that the structures are immediately taken out of the way so that they do not hamper any further movement. With respect to transport, we are seeing that state transport buses, their services stand suspended till tomorrow, and that is why people have been asked to stay away from the streets. Section 144 has been imposed so that people do not end up coming on the streets, thereby damaging their own, putting their own lives at risk. But most importantly, I'm sorry, this is just a bit tiring, as we are also bearing the brunt of the incessant winds and then speaking. But when it comes to damage to properties as well, we are seeing that even when
भी तस्वीरें दिखा रहे हैं, जावेद भी तस्वीरें दिखा रहे हैं। वाकई बेहद भयानक ये मंजर है। विकास, आप इस तरफ दिखाइए तस्वीरें, क्योंकि ये बेहद अहम हो जाती है। काले बादल हैं यहाँ पर, क्योंकि जिस तरीके से भीषण बारिश पहले हुई थी, अभी भी बारिश हो सकती है। ये काले बादल इसी ओर इशारा कर रहे हैं कि बारिश होगी और बारिश होती रहेगी। बारिश रात भर होगी। लैंडफॉल तो हो चुका है, वो घड़ी जिसका इंतजार था वो लैंडफॉल हो चुका है। जकाऊ पर पहुंचने में 2 से 3 घंटे का समय और हवा की रफ्तार 115 किलोमीटर प्रति घंटा। 115 किलोमीटर। अभी हवा की जो रफ्तार है वो 80 से 100 किलोमीटर प्रति घंटे की है।
Updates from Dwarka. This is where the first impact is also going to be felt. As IMD has already announced, the landfall has started, but this is going to be a process over a couple of or over a few hours, in fact. Until midnight, the conditions are going to be extremely rough. I do request my colleague to please move to safer area as well, because the conditions are only getting worse from here. This is Jaspreet from our News 18 network reporting in Dwarka in Gujarat. My colleague Vinaya is also in Dwarka. And Vinaya, looks like it is time, of course, to seek some shelter and get to some safer ground.
I'm sorry, if I may request you to repeat the question. I am unable to hear you.
Yes. Yes, Vinaya, the conditions, as I was just trying to say, are obviously getting worse. Looks like it's time to, take some protection, get under some protection, take some shelter. Because things will only get worse from here.
Well, yes, things have already gotten quite worse. You can continuously see that the wind speed has been increasing. It has become difficult to see things that are just 50 to 80 meters away, as well as if I may show our viewers, our video journalist Rajesh Sape, who has been continuously showing all the live visuals. Look at the sea, the violent sea here, how the waves look so scary. We've been seeing that these waves have been continuously lashing at the waves have been continuously lashing at the coast of Dwarka. We are seeing that the sea levels have risen considerably, and though we are seeing that the landfall has in some sense begun, the violent nature of the sea has not really subsided. There is the skies are overcast, extremely grey clouds, dark clouds that are moving very fast now. We will try and get you more visuals. Let me show you. This can be a classic example of what it's a telling example of what the cyclone looks like. This is the Dwarka beach, a very famous tourist destination where devotees throng this place every day. At this time, on other days, this place sees a heavy footfall, and hundreds of people are seen here otherwise. But right now, as you can see, this entire area wears a deserted look. Even as Section 144 has been imposed, there was a time in the day where we could see the Dwarkadish temple top from here, but right now the visibility is affected and we can barely see anything with respect to the temple from here. Rajesh Sape is trying to bring you all the visuals from here at Dwarka coast, where the sea levels have risen and the sea looks extremely scary right now. But as of now, even as we try to make sure that we continue to do coverage of the horrible impact of the landfall of Cyclone Biparjoy, which is now a very severe cyclonic storm, we will also show to you what kind of impact does this cyclone have after the landfall. So the next few hours are going to be extremely crucial, especially after the landfall. We expect that the situation will continue to remain bad till midnight at least, where heavy winds will continue to flow and coupled with rainfall as well. It will be only by tomorrow morning that we will be able to gauge the nature of damage that Cyclone Biparjoy.
Vinaya, the skies are also turning dark now. The rain, the wind speed is all going to increase. I thank you very much for joining us for this live coverage, as you are doing very bravely. And I request you to please seek some shelter and get to some protected ground. We'll, of course, keep connecting to you as the cyclone makes landfall on the western coast of India. Moving on to what we were scheduled to discuss today, from supporting the construction of Ram Temple in Ayodhya to the scrapping of Article 370 in Jammu and Kashmir. The BJP government led by Narendra Modi has delivered on 2 of its 3 long-term promises. The third has always been Uniform Civil Code. Is the implementation of a UCC next on agenda? There is fresh buzz as Law Commission has issued a public notice seeking fresh views and opinions on the UCC. The move has triggered a political storm. The Congress has launched an attack on the central government, accusing it of polarization. Now, the merits and need of a UCC have been debated for long. But can Uniform Civil Code be implemented in India, and is this the right time? UCC requires navigating sensitive religious and cultural issues, as different communities may strongly oppose any perceived infringement upon their personal laws. And any attempt to introduce a UCC is also likely to face political opposition. Political parties and religious groups may exploit the issue to mobilize support or protect a vote bank, making it challenging to build consensus and pass unnecessary legislation. And is the central government even serious about implementing it, or is it just bringing this topic back to the front burner ahead of 2024 elections? We'll take those questions to our guest in just a bit, but here is what Law Commission has asked for. It has invited views and ideas from the public now on the UCC, seeking opinions, especially from recognized religious organizations. Stakeholders have been asked to send views within 30 days. Submissions can be made in form of discussions or papers. But remember, this is the second such initiative taken by the Law Commission the last 7 years alone, but the previous one did not really lead anywhere. Here is where most religious and social bodies stand on the Uniform Civil Code. So the All India Muslim Personal Law Board has called UCC against the spirit of the Constitution. That may be an exaggeration of sorts because it is actually in the Constitution as a directive principle. Jamiat Ulama-e-Hind has passed a resolution against UCC saying that it is an injustice to Muslims. Shiromani Gurdwara Prabandhak Committee has called UCC Centre's bid to make India a Hindu Rashtra. On UCC, RSS has said that people of one nation should live under a common law. Let's also take a look at the history of this issue in Supreme Court, and it's an interesting one. In 1985, during the Shah Bano case, the Supreme Court had remarked that it is a matter of regret that Article 44 has remained a dead letter. Again, in Sarla Mudgal case in 1995, the Supreme Court urged then Prime Minister to endeavour to secure a UCC for the country. More recently, in 2023, the Supreme Court has said that there is no bar on states setting up a panel for the UCC since many BJP-ruled states were doing so. And also this year, the Supreme Court said that the courts should not be seen as directing legislature to enact a law, particularly when petitions were up for hearing in this matter. What has been the government stand, and particularly the government led by the BJP at the centre? So last year, the union government had batted for UCC in an affidavit in the Supreme Court saying that personal laws based on religion are an affront to the nation's unity. It said that UCC will bring about integration of the country and its various sections, terming UCC a common platform through an unvarying legal regime. Let me also quickly break down the case for and against the Uniform Civil Code. So people supporting the Common Civil Code say it enhances, first of all, the status of women and the marginalized. But people objecting to it say it is difficult to implement due to diverse personal laws. People backing it say many personal laws violate human rights. Many objecting to the UCC say that implementation would create fear among minorities of loss of religious identity. People backing UCC say that Article 25 and 26 guarantee freedom of religion. So therefore, there's no need to be worried on that front, and UCC is actually not opposed to secularism. People objecting to it say that rights bestowed by religion cannot be questioned by a court of law. Finally, people backing UCC also say that liberal, gender-sensitive civil code is the need of the hour for a new India, while those opposed to UCC say that no one should interfere with religion in the name of social reform. So on that note, let's go across to our guest joining us. Joining us, Tom Varakan, spokesperson of the BJP, Atikur Rahman, Islamic scholar, Justice Adityanath Mittal is former Chief UP Law Commission, Desh Ratan Nigam is lawyer and political analyst, Zinat Shaukat Ali is also an activist and Islamic scholar. Zinat Shaukat Ali, why don't I begin with you? We've discussed the merits that I said, and we know the positions of all sides, whether they agree, don't agree, give a conditional support, or are completely opposed to a UCC. I want to understand from you, as an Islamic activist and scholar, do you believe that the time is right in India for UCC now?
You see, the Uniform Civil Code has been besieged with problems for many decades, and it has created a lot of polemics and controversy. But what we need to understand, in answer to your question, is what exactly is the aim of the Uniform Civil Code. So, and whether, as you're saying, the time is right. The time can be always right, and the time can never be right.
True.
So, that is, I would not like to discuss that part of the question. But I do think that, that the very term has been severely contested over the years, as in the realm of identity issue and electoral politics, as well as with a range of interests among feminist groups who want the Uniform Civil Code. Now, one has to understand that in an increasingly communalized national context, this subject becomes extremely complicated,
Mhm.
whereas in actuality it is not. Because the quest for the Uniform Civil Code is what? Currently, within the existing legal framework, there exists no uniform family related law in a single statutory book for all Indians that is acceptable to all
To all.
religious communities in India, and that is where the Uniform Civil Code is heading. And like the constitutional expression, we the people of India in its dynamic unity integrally includes a national plurality of people of India cutting across race, ethnicity, religion, caste, etc. So all its citizens need to do is to seek a favorable solution that desiderates harmony and accommodative religious pluralism, seeking a balance between the right to religion and the right to justice.
Yes,
So I
you're
think
very
this
right
is
about
where
that, Zina
that
Shaukat Ali,
lies,
but
is the right
that's
to
precisely
justice
the
where we are
heart
heading
of
at.
this debate, whether that consensus can happen when there are so many vested interest groups. Who's going to build that consensus? Is that even possible in a country of 140 million people? And secondly, everyone will have to give a little bit. But the fight is going to be exactly that. Justice Aditya, I want to come to you. Legally speaking, is this even possible in a country like India?
Of course.
All right, it looks like there's a slight issue with justice connection, but Atikur Rahman, why don't you take this question? Can the consensus be built? When is going to be the right time? And everybody will have to give a little bit. Can we all come on the table and do so? We all know what this is for.
Shivani, this is not the first time we are discussing this issue.
Yes.
In fact, the issue has been on the BJP manifesto since 1986.
Yes.
A very, very good government of Mr. Vajpayee never touched it. Government of Mr. Modi, since they are about to complete 10 years. They are just making a red herring out of it. The procrastination on the part of the BJP is beyond, comprehension of the people. The Supreme Court has pinpointed that the scriptures, the ulama, the leaders of the religious denominations, they are usurping the rights of the women. Despite this fact, why not the government of India place it as a draft resolution on the floor of the legislatures?
No, but then they've just done the exercise for that, right? Atikur Rahman, let's be fair. Atikur, let's be fair. They've invited these public opinion precisely for that exercise, right? What would ideally follow from here is a draft resolution and possibly a legislation. So we'll get to that. But I'm just trying to understand from you, do you feel the Muslim community has walked the distance that it needed to walk to accept a UCC in India?
I think on this particular issue, Shivani, the government, if they are pinpointing to the Muslims, they are hiding behind them. Because leave aside the Muslims are not the first citizens of the state. The Muslims will have to adhere to the rights of the women because that is enshrined in the Quran. And Ms. Shaukat Ali will be vouchsafing this fact. None of the gender justice and gender equality laws, if they are preempted by the government of the day, the Muslims will have to adhere to it because that will be based on gender
I've asked
justice
you this question
and
only
gender
because
equality.
Muslim bodies have vehemently opposed UCC and they do have a lot of clout amongst Indian Muslims. The Jamaat, for example, even if not the All India Muslim Personal Law Board.
There they will have to build the consensus.
Okay.
What they are primarily basing their arguments is, are the minority rights will be intact in this UCC. And these minority rights also concern the tribal rights.
Yeah,
The
but I think
Manipur
those are,
Chief Minister has
those
objected to
concerns
this
may be
fact.
there, but let's be fair, those are not valid concerns. There are separate clauses or articles in the Constitution that protect right to religion. UCC is not going to infringe upon them. UCC is only for, issues of marriage, succession, divorce, adoption, etc. Justice Anand is now through with us. I wanted to understand from you, you were part of the UP law panel. Legally speaking, how difficult is this exercise?
Basically, it is a constitutional mandate, and this mandate is since 1950. I may ask Honorable the Speaker that when the personal law of Hindus that was codified, Hindus are in majority in India. They were and they are. They have not opposed on the ground of religion. Now, if it is a constitutional mandate, it has to be done, and all these sections of the society, maybe Hindu, maybe Muslim, maybe Buddha, maybe Sikh, maybe Isai, whosoever it is, they have to accept, and they must accept, and they must honor the constitution. Merely saying that their religious rights will be affected. The religious rights of the Hindus were also affected. Previously, before 1956, Hindus were open to take adoption. They were open for more than one marriage, but they had not opposed it. So we have to run with the mandate of the Constitution, and the Constitution says that there shall be a uniform civil code. Merely opposing it on the ground of religion, and more particularly of Muslim religion, it is not, in my opinion, it is not fair.
But sir, how do you read the fact? How do you read the fact that even the governments have been pussyfooting around this? For example, the Law Commission earlier has said that the time is not right, and we have to be very careful about, protecting pluralism in India. And in the name of UCC or uniformity, we cannot deal a blow to diversity in India. So even the legal opinion, whether it's the commission, whether it's the government, it's not clear. First, that legal position has to become clearer.
As far as the legal position is concerned, Honorable the Supreme Court has, many times, has said that there must be uniform civil code in India.
Yes.
And I hope that the uniform civil code will not affect the diversity of various religions, various sections of the India. Let the proposal come. And when the public opinion has been sought on the proposal, the parties must give their proposal. The Law Commission may make accordingly changes if it requires, and more particularly, it will go to the Parliament. In the Parliament, there shall be discussion. Whatever problem you are having, you may discuss those problems in the Parliament.
Right.
And you can't say that it is targeting the Muslims. No.
No,
I absolutely do not agree.
Fair enough. But what's also alternatively true is that for some reason, yes, they've been the most vociferous block of minorities in India that have been opposing UCC, and history is witness to it, so I don't have to add more. But it's not that only the Muslims are concerned about UCC. There are, Christian communities, maybe Parsi communities, even amongst Hindus. There are so many diverse sects. Even they have apprehensions about the UCC, about how it will affect their traditional way of life and the way they govern their personal life. Let me bring in Deshratan Nigam here before I go to Tom Vadakan on this. Just speaking purely from the view of the Hindu bodies as well, Deshratan Nigam, I don't think that there is a very clear clarity, despite what the RSS may say. The RSS has fundamentally always batted for the UCC, but there are several sects within the Hindu larger umbrella that are nervous about the UCC too.
Well, Shivani, in fact, Hindu Succession Act, Hindu Marriage Act and everything is applicable to all the Hindus, irrespective of what the bodies think. So there is no two ways about it that they are not going to accept a uniform civil code, because for Hindus, the uniform civil code already exists in the form of various laws which have already made, which are secular in nature. Now, if people think that it is affecting the diversity and the equality, then I believe if any diversity or plurality or inequality is based on gender injustice, gender inequality, then so be it. Because gender equality and gender justice is primary in the Constitution and the prime position of our Constitution under Article 14, 19 and 21.
Fair enough.
Therefore,
but it's not always just about gender, right, Deshratan Nigam? It's just about your traditional way of life. Is it fair for religious groups to feel that what is the need for a UCC that erases this diversity that we have, where different communities deal with succession, etc., differently, barring, of course, if there is an absolute infringement of human rights and gender rights? For example, I'm quoting the former law panel's report. And this is why I'm asking this, whether there's clarity of what even the government wants to do. And this is from August 2018, when the Narendra Modi government was in power. That uniformity cannot be a reason for threat to territorial integrity. I found that very, very alarming that they've linked this to territorial integrity. But it also goes on to say unified nation doesn't necessarily need to have uniformity. Difference doesn't always imply discrimination. UCC is neither necessary nor desirable at this stage. So my question also is that we keep moving one step forward, two steps back. There's no clarity what the government wants to do.
See, Shivani, Law Commission of India is a statutory body, an independent body, and mostly their recommendation in the past was based on the Supreme Court judgments. A huge exercise which is being taken now is actually being done for the first time. And all kinds of opinions and shades will come. And believe me when I say this, the diversity is not going to be affected. The gender discrimination or other kinds of discrimination will be eliminated. So it is not about diversity. Please remember, any diversity which is rooted in injustice and discrimination has to go. It is not going to...
Do you believe that is possible though? As the Law Commission reignites this process, can a consensus be made? Is the time right?
No, that is why this huge exercise is being done. The various shades of opinion will come. There will be some suspicions. There will be some kind of apprehensions. And then there will be addressed. There will be, a paper will be prepared. A draft legislation will come. And, once a law is made, then it is put into practice. If there are problems, the amendments can be brought in subsequently. So it's an evolutionary process. It is not that you have cast
it in a stone. It's a static process. Understood. Tom Vadakan, I want to come to you. The fundamental question the BJP faces is, look, 2024 elections are less than a year to go now, and suddenly we hear about UCC again, when your own government, during your government, you did nothing for the last 10 years. So why should people not accuse you of using UCC for emotional gain alone ahead of elections?
Shivani, the process started with 370, where the discrimination of gender was an issue. Then the issue of triple talaq. And then there were these different questions that were raised by the Supreme Court. The UCC is not a product of the BJP. It is a product generated and mentored by the Constitution of India. Article 44 speaks about it. Ambedkarji's book, which is out, also speaks about the relevance of it. Now, the point here is, it is not against the diversity. It is against giving a level playing field to all genders, wherever they are, protecting them. This is the basic idea of the UCC.
Fair enough. I'm not discussing the merit.
This is not
I'm not discussing the merit of this. I'm just discussing why should people not question the intentions. Barely 11 months before the next general elections.
Question the intention because it's put up for debate. Please present your debate to the panel. It is not a product of the Bharatiya Janata Party. It's a product of the panel. And you put your objections to the panel, it will be discussed, it will be brought. It is as transparent as that. There's
Atikur Rahman seems to be disagreeing with you. Tom Vadakan, give me a minute to get him in, then I'll come back to you. Yes, Atikur Rahman.
Shivani, any positive move towards UCC is countering the patriarchal and the misogynist society which is deeply rooted in the Indians. And mind you, we are pinning our hopes on a government which has, scores of members of parliament which are patriarchal and misogynist. The recent example is of the wrestling thing. They cannot provide rights to these 4 or 5 women, and they are going to provide 50% of the Indian women, the Indian population, this particular UCC. Come on, Mr. Tom, come very much clean on this. Irrespect of a draft resolution, you are just playing with the emotions of the people of India.
Okay, you made that point before. Let Tom Vadakan respond. Tom Vadakan, added to that, my question also is, do you really expect that there will be any political consensus, given how opposed virtually every other party in India is to you, no matter what position you take, what position they have taken on a similar issue in the past? Do you really hope to build a political consensus on an issue like the UCC, wherever that happens?
Shivani, I'm not an astrologer. This is an issue that's been put by the Law Commission. And we believe that people of India are democratic. democratic practices have been alive, unlike the Congress party which says democracy is not alive. The process has just started. Why are you so suspicious? If you have a problem, go to the Law Commission, present it. They will listen to you. And the legislation is the last part of it. There's going to be a debate in Parliament. There's going to be a debate at all levels. Why are you so worried? The idea is born out of the Indian Constitution. And we are only following what the Constitution has said under Article 44. We'll give it a try and let's see what happens.
How many years?
People of India
years,
make sure.
20
This is
years?
the people's
How many
court.
years the women will be waiting for this? For how many years
It is
you
a
are
matter
going
that is
to
in
make the
people's
women
court.
of India
Your
wait for
howling
this?
and screaming doesn't help. The point here is gender equality,
This-
succession issues, marriage issues, diverse issues, and the kind of protection that the section needs.
Okay.
We are trying
but
to
Atul
address
Karwal,
it.
I don't
This is
understand.
attitude
Why
of
are you blaming
yours.
the BJP for the delay on UCC? They're the only party who actively bats for
Very
it.
good question, Shivani.
You should be asking this
Very good
question and,
question,
showing
Shivani.
this anger against other
Wha-
political parties.
The RSS ideology related to misogyny and patriarchal was very much there in the Supreme Court in the past month.
Okay.
wherein the Supreme
I'm not
Court
getting into that.
pinpointed
No, let's not
the
deviate the
1 month
debate to
waiting
that. I want to
period,
give a final
the
30
1
seconds to
month
Justice
waiting period
Mittal
is
as well.
patriarchal.
Justice Mittal, can you just briefly explain to us what follows after this? 30 days time for everyone to present their views. What do you expect will follow from this? All right, looks like I can't get through to Justice Mittal. He's not getting my audio. Zeenat Shaukat Ali, do you believe UCC can be a reality anytime soon?
The UCC can be a reality. You see, in the foundational principle, if we understand that the foundational principle of the Uniform Civil Code is justice, and the constitutional right which is the constitutional right of every Indian citizen. And the Uniform Civil Code actually is in the best interest of religions.
Okay.
People of religions have to understand that it does not negate religious sentiments, but only regressive dogmas, which are misogynistic.
And across all religions, so not targeting anyone. All right, I'll leave it at that. I do thank all of our guests for joining us. We'll wait and see what really transpires after the 30-day period that the Law Commission has given ordinary citizens and religious bodies to opine on the UCC. Moving back across to our coverage on Cyclone Biparjoy, which is inching near the Gujarat coast, and the landfall process has started. Remember, a red alert has been issued for Saurashtra and Kutch coast as Gujarat braces for one of the worst cyclones that has hit the state in 25 years. Authorities have successfully relocated nearly 45,000 people from coastal areas to temporary shelters. Kutch, which is likely to be one of the worst affected areas, is seeing heavy deployment of the NDRF, the SDRF, Army, Coast Guard and Navy. Over 40,000 food packets have been kept ready for distribution. Meanwhile, road and rail traffic movement has been halted in some coastal regions. Schools, colleges, offices, temples and more are all shut.
Yes, things have already gotten quite worse. You can continuously see that the wind speed has been increasing. It has become difficult to see things that are just 50 to 80 meters away, as well as if I may show our viewers, our video journalist Rajesh Sape, who has been continuously showing all the live visuals. Look at the sea, the violent sea here, how the waves look so scary. We've been seeing that these waves have been continuously lashing at the waves have been continuously lashing at the coast of Dwarka. We are seeing that the sea levels have risen considerably, and though we are seeing that the landfall has in some sense begun, the violent nature of the sea has not really subsided. There is, the skies are overcast, extremely grey clouds, dark clouds that are moving very fast now. We will try and get you more visuals. Let me show you. This can be a classic example of what it's a telling example of what the cyclone looks like. This is the Dwarka beach, a very famous tourist destination where devotees throng this place every day. At this time, on other days, this place sees, a heavy footfall and hundreds of people are seen here otherwise. But right now, as you can see, this entire area wears a deserted look. Even as section 140
पूरा फैब्रिकेशन को उखाड़ फेंक दिया है। हवाओं में कितनी ताकत है इससे अंदाजा लगाया जा सकता है। 115 किलोमीटर प्रति घंटे की रफ्तार से हवाएं चल रही है। यकीन मानिए यहाँ खड़े रह पाना मुश्किल हो जा रहा है। यही ये प्रमाण है सामने, ये जो सामने जो टूटे हैं टीन, वही प्रमाण है कि यहाँ पर खड़े रह पाना कितना मुश्किल हो जा रहा है। यही दिखा रहा है यहाँ की ताकत साइक्लोन में किस तरीके बिपरजॉय कितना यहाँ पर ताकतवर हो रहा है। यही वो तस्वीरें आपको यहाँ पर दिखा रहे हैं कि ये खास तौर पर जखौ में, चूंकि इसी ट्रैक से यहाँ से गुजरा है।
We are right now in Dwarka, where the speed of winds is making it impossible to even stand at a specific location and hold on to your position. My video journalist Rajesh Sapre and I, both of us, are
वो शुरू हो चुके। एक तस्वीर मैं आपको एक बार ये दिखाऊंगी कि देखिए पुलिस के जो प्रशासनिक अधिकारी हैं, जो बड़े अधिकारी हैं, वो यहाँ पर पहुंचे हैं क्योंकि ये पोर्ट का इलाका है और वो ये मुआयना करने के लिए पहुंचे हैं क्योंकि अब सिर्फ 1.5 घंटे का वक्त बचा है जब वो तट से टकराएगा चक्रवाती तूफान, जिसके लिए कहा जा रहा है कि बेहद तबाही होगी। 3 गाड़ियां आपको यहाँ पर लगातार पुलिस की नजर आ रही होगी अब ये पोर्ट के अंदर जाती हुई, क्योंकि मुआयना पुलिस की तरफ से ये किया जाएगा कि कोई भी एक भी शख्स जो है वो अंदर मौजूद ना हो, क्योंकि लगातार देखिए चाहे मीडिया कर्मी की बात की जाए, आम आदमियों की बात की जाए, सभी को जो है यहाँ से बाहर निकाल दिया गया था। लेकिन एक बार फिर से मैं आपको ये तस्वीर दिखा रही हूँ, देखिए किस तरीके से पानी का उफान जो है वो लगातार अब जो है ऊपर बढ़ता हुआ नजर आ रहा है। इतना ही नहीं, देखिए लगातार हम सुबह से आपको बता रहे हैं कि समंदर किस तरीके से धीरे धीरे जो है वो रौद्र रूप धारण करता हुआ नजर आ रहा है। और एक बार फिर से देखिए मौसम का मिजाज बदला है, अब मात्र 1 घंटे का वक्त बचा है, 1 से सवा घंटे का, जब वो तूफान जो है तट से टकराएगा। अब यहाँ से जखुआ 100 किलोमीटर की दूरी पे है, मांडवी में मौजूद है, तो आप समझ लीजिए कि ज्यादा दूरी नहीं है, मात्र 100 किलोमीटर की। और ये बारिश आपको साफ तौर पर नजर आ रही होगी। देखिए ऐसे ही पल भर में यहाँ पर चुटकी भर में जो है मौसम बदल रहा है। मौसम बदलने का मतलब आप समझिए तेज हवा, और तेज हवा ऐसी है कि यहाँ पर 1 मिनट भी जो है वो खड़े हो जाना बहुत ज्यादा मुश्किल हो पा रहा है। लेकिन इसीलिए हम आपको लगातार बता रहे हैं कि बिपरजॉय, जिसे आपत्ति कहा जाता है, जिसे विनाशकारी कहा जाता है, जिसे मुश्किल घड़ी में कहा जाता है, अब उसका मतलब ही ये है, जिसका नाम जो है वो बांग्लादेश से रखा गया, लेकिन उसका जी।
My colleague Vinaya Deshpande is also tracking the latest and standing on her feet as the wind speeds get rougher and rougher. Vinaya, give us a sense of how it's seeming like there now.
Well, right now the wind speed has kept on increasing for the last 1 hour or so. We have seen that the weather has only grown rougher. This really is the tough phase of Cyclone Biparjoy. We can see the kind of violent impact that the cyclone is having even as the landfall has begun. Here at Devbhoomi Dwarka, the wind speed has been rising. We have been lashed by incessant rainfall, for the last 1 hour or so. The sea has also grown violent in the last 1 hour. In fact, the visibility has dipped so much that it is difficult to show you the violent sea which is right ahead of me behind my video journalist. But you can imagine the kind of impact that these winds must have had on the several installations and on the infrastructure on the coastal region of Dwarka. We have seen that, here in this area at least, several poles have come down, canopies have come down, trees have borne the brunt of the violence that Cyclone Biparjoy has unleashed. We are seeing that as the landfall has begun, this has only increased the speed of the wind, making it impossible for us to stand here. The sea, which is at least 100 meters away from here, the sea water is traveling all the way across to here. Salt water on our faces, in our eyes, lashing us like a whip. Cyclone Biparjoy, as we try to stay steady, it is increasingly difficult. I think I have lost the audio as well. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you, Vinaya.
I seem to have lost the audio. I am unable to hear the studio, but what I can do is bring you the visuals from here, from ground zero, where we are seeing the fury of Cyclone Biparjoy. Wind speeds have increased tremendously. I can't even keep my eyes open at this point because of the salt water that is continuously lashing our faces. Rains have also increased. The skies are overcast. IMD says that till tonight rough winds will be expected, even as the landfall of Cyclone Biparjoy continues. As of now, thousands of people have been moved to safety at several rescue centers that have been set up across the coastal areas. We are seeing that, you know, the only trouble really is the livestock, where the standing instructions by the administration have been to release them before people are rescued at several locations here in Devbhoomi, Dwarka at least. We have seen that tin sheds have flown away, pillars have come crashing down, the sand from the sea is travelling far across. Not just the salt water, it is the sand as well which is hitting us right now on our faces, in the eyes. Both Rajesh Sapre, my video journalist, and I are finding it difficult to hold our ground.
Cyclone Biparjoy making landfall on the western coast of India in Gujarat. My colleague Vinay Deshpande and others reporting from Dwarka and other parts which are going to face the brunt of this cyclone. We'll be back after a short break with more live updates.
In order to make sure that hospitals keep functioning even when there is electricity outage and there is enough blood supply to several hospitals. These are the several measures that have been put in place, not just in Dwarka, Devbhoomi Dwarka, where I'm standing right now, but in several locations including Kutch, Mandvi, areas around Porbandar, also several places in Jamnagar which are low-lying and which received rainfall yesterday and day before have been kept on standby. So massive deployment that has taken place in several locations here. The NDRF has said that it is constantly watching over the situation and staying in touch with the district administration, which is coordinating efforts for making sure that there are no untoward incidents even as Cyclone Biparjoy makes its headway, even as it comes closer to the coast of Kutch, and as the climatic condition worsens here, not just in Dwarka but around Porbandar, Mandvi and Kutch area as well. So Saurashtra and Kutch have been put on red alert since yesterday. Other places are on orange alert, and rainfall is expected today. The wind speed is expected to continue to surge over the next few hours. In Devbhoomi Dwarka itself, where I'm standing, the speed of wind has increased as compared to yesterday, though right now for a few moments we can see that there is a dip, but it is expected that the climatic situation will only worsen in the coming few hours before Cyclone Biparjoy makes a landfall. by today evening at around 7 p.m. There was some rainfall that was happening till a while ago, but right now there is respite.
Well, CNN News 18's Vinay Deshpande is joining me live from Dwarka in Gujarat, and she is going to bring you all the latest developments from Ground Zero. Vinay, I hope you are safe there. Could you give us all the details from Ground Zero? Also, could you tell us about the key areas that are going to be affected apart from Gujarat?
Well, we can see that, as the cyclone is progressing towards the coast of Kutch, we are seeing that, more and more winds have started blowing. In fact, we are here in Devbhumi, Dwarka, where the wind speeds have increased substantially. So has the swell in the sea. Section 1 has been imposed in different parts of the coastal areas in order to make sure that people do not come out of their houses and are safe. Over 45,000 people who live in low-lying areas and who live in kacha houses have already been evacuated. As we heard that efforts are going on war footing, especially in places like Kutch, Mandvi, Jakhau Port, Dwarka, Porbandar, which are likely to take the brunt of the landfall of Cyclone Biparjoy. As we speak, the sea continues to swell. The wind speed has been increasing, and administration tells us that efforts are on to make sure that there are proactive steps that are being taken in order to minimize the damage that is likely to take place because of the cyclone. So we have seen that already people have been evacuated. Most importantly, several kacha constructions which are expected to get razed due to the impact of the cyclone. These kacha constructions are not just evacuated, but also areas around them are being monitored. Around 100 electricity poles have come down since yesterday in Dwarka district alone, and the administration is trying to repair them. Most importantly, the 73 kilometers of highway which passes through different districts which are currently affected due to the onslaught of Cyclone Biparjoy. That entire stretch has been divided between several agencies which have been entrusted with the responsibility of upkeep, because it's expected that as the wind speed increases, trees might get uprooted, electricity poles may come down, holdings may come down, thereby causing some disturbance for road transport at such crucial juncture. It is important to have the arterial roads open for transport and communication, and that is why several agencies, made the NDRF, SDRF, the state disaster, have all been entrusted with different parts of the highways in order to make sure that there is no repetition of effort and that there is coordination. At such times, the highway should stay clear. As of now, the bus services that come to these areas have been completely shut down.
Good evening, hello and welcome. You're watching CNN News 18. This is The Right Stand with me, Poonam Burde. Cyclone Biparjoy, which means disaster in Bangla, that has now made landfall. The process has begun. It is going to last up till midnight tonight is what the prediction by the IMD is. We're seeing the kind of wind speeds. There's heavy gush of wind in Gujarat, along the coast of Maharashtra as well. Pakistan is bearing the brunt too, but as far as Gujarat is concerned, there are some worst affected areas, most of which is Dwarka. CNN News 18 is reporting live from there, getting you the very latest as to what the situation is now. Unfortunately, we've already seen the kind of impact the cyclone has had. There are trees that have been uprooted. There are electrical poles that have been uprooted in many, many areas. Over 80,000 people have been evacuated from both Gujarat and coastal Maharashtra. They've been evacuated to safer ground because the kind of impact this severe cyclonic storm was going to have, as predicted, that is exactly, unfortunately, what we see on ground in Gujarat today. The IMD has said that the districts of Saurashtra and Kutch will also be affected as far as this particular cyclone is concerned. There's heavy winds, there's rainfall. It's all happening as we speak in parts of Gujarat. My colleagues getting us the very latest from on ground, both in Mumbai and across parts of Gujarat as well. Vinaya, my colleague, getting us the very latest from Dwarka. She is there getting us what the situation at the moment is. The landfall process has begun. What does that mean? What is the kind of impact that we see on ground?
Well, right now the wind speed has kept on increasing for the last 1 hour or so. We have seen that the weather has only grown rougher. This really is the tough phase of Cyclone Biparjoy. We can see the kind of violent impact that the cyclone is having even as the landfall has begun. Here at Devbhoomi Dwarka, the wind speed has been rising. We have been lashed by incessant rainfall, for the last 1 hour or so. The sea has also grown violent in the last 1 hour. In fact, the visibility has dipped so much that it is difficult to show you the violent sea which is right ahead of me behind my video journalist. But you can imagine the kind of impact that these winds must have had on the several installations and on the infrastructure on the coastal region of Dwarka. We have seen that, here in this area at least, several poles have come down, canopies have come down, trees have borne the brunt of the violence that Cyclone Biparjoy has unleashed. We are seeing that as the landfall has begun. This has only increased the speed of the wind, making it impossible for us to stand here. The sea, which is at least 100 meters away from here, the sea water is traveling all the way across to here. Salt water on our faces, in our eyes, lashing us like a whip. This is indeed the fury of Cyclone Biparjoy. As we try to stay steady, it is increasingly difficult. I think I have lost the audio as well. I don't know if you can hear me, but I seem to have lost the audio. I am unable to hear the studio, but what I can do is bring you the visuals from here, from ground zero, where we are seeing the fury of Cyclone Biparjoy. Wind speeds have increased tremendously. I can't even keep my eyes open at this point because of the salt water that is continuously lashing our faces. Rains have also increased. The skies are overcast. IMD says that till tonight rough winds will be expected even as the landfall of Cyclone Biparjoy continues. As of now, thousands of people have been moved to safety at several rescue centers that have been set up across the coastal areas.
Those were the scenes in Dwarka about 30 to 40 minutes ago. There is nightfall now, but the impact is still visible on ground, which is why Vinaya, my colleague, also joins us live from that very spot. Now, Vinaya, we've seen the kind of situation that has transpired across Gujarat, especially in the last 2 or 3 hours. What has been the impact so far? We've already seen several trees that have been uprooted, several electrical poles that are down as well.
Well, yes, sheds of several tin hutments have also gone up in the air. We have seen a lot of damage that has been caused to the property, especially the kacha houses and the several electricity poles, the loose structures, the hoardings, all have come down. In fact, we are reporting right now, even as Cyclone Biparjoy continues to make its landfall, and even as the wind speeds have kept on increasing over the last few hours, we are seeing that it's becoming almost impossible to stand steadily at one location. Wind speeds have been increasing and so has rainfall been increasing. In fact, the skies continued to be overcast for quite some time before it's turning dark now. Right now, the sea has also grown violent. In fact, the sea is barely 100 meters away from here. But the sea waves are so violent that we can taste the sea salt on our faces and we can feel the sand on our bodies. In fact, right now my raincoat is full of not just rainwater but also sand from the sea, which has been hitting us for quite some time now. We are here in Devbhoomi Dwarka, where damage to property has been reported from several places. In fact, just where we are standing, some time ago an entire structure came down. This was the canopy of a hotel entrance and it was a glass.
We'll try and reconnect with my colleague Vinaya there. As you can see, she was in the thick of all the action. There is heavy rain that Gujarat is witnessing, especially Dwarka, where Vinaya is reporting from. Connectivity is an issue. There are poles that have been uprooted. There are trees that have been uprooted. There is damage to public and private property as well. I believe Vinaya is back with us. Vinaya, it's nightfall now. The assessment of damage is also something that is going to take a very, very long time.
Well, yes, absolutely. Authorities say it's going to take quite some time till they assess the damage to property. Till now, there is no report of damage to life, though even as thousands of people have been moved to safety in shelter houses. The government said it was zero casualty, which was the goal of the government, but clearly that hasn't prevented damage to property because of the violent winds and the continuous crazy rainfall that we have been experiencing along the coastline. Kutch and Saurashtra continue to bear the brunt of this. They continue to be on red alert. These kind of violent winds and rainfall is expected till midnight at least. Thereafter, we will have to see if the conditions improve. But as of now, yes, the situation is bad and the administration says it's not just till midnight, but they will have to wait and watch till morning hours tomorrow to understand the damage that Cyclone Biparjoy would have caused, because remember, this kind of rain and wind, you know, the water will only seep into several structures. It is likely that the structures may come down over the hours, and that is why assessment will have to be done by tomorrow morning, even as reports of several electricity poles, trees and several kacha houses, tents keep coming in through the night. Dwarka itself has reported several such incidents. I am myself standing next to one such rubble, bamboo poles which came crashing down just some time ago due to the violence and fury of nature, the way the winds had been blowing and the way there was rainfall. So this is the kind of destruction we are experiencing all around us. The place where we are staying, the lobby of our hotel, has also seen massive destruction. Lamps came tumbling down, doors and door handles were shattered, walls came crashing. This is something we saw with our own eyes. This is truly the fury of nature. As Cyclone Biparjoy continues to make a landfall, authorities say that this kind of turbulent weather will continue well till midnight, after which we expect that there will be abatement to this wind. At least we will have to see if rainfall will continue or not, but as of now red alert continues for the whole region of Kutch and Saurashtra, which has seen a Herculean task of evacuation of human beings, but damage to property is likely to be reported from several places, not just in coastal Gujarat but also in Junagadh, maybe in Rajkot. Air services have already been suspended. Several flights were cancelled today. They were supposed to take off today morning. Those flights were also cancelled as the weather conditions continuously deteriorated. Bus services continue to remain suspended. Train services continue to remain suspended. As of now, what we see is massive damage all around us with respect to the poles and the single structures. There is no big incident, fortunately, that has been reported till now. No massive loss of life or incident which has led to loss of life has been reported as of now.
Thankfully, no loss of life at the moment. We can see the difficult conditions you're reporting in Vinaya. Do keep safe, both you and your video journalist as well. And thank you so much for getting us the very latest from on ground, from the thick of all the action there. But we are now shifting focus to the big debate that has come to the fore, and that is particularly about Karnataka. The Congress government in Karnataka seems intent on reversing decisions of its predecessors. Since the government took over a month ago, the state government has made their intent known loud and clear. Today, the Karnataka cabinet met for a crucial meeting, and it was decided that two of the major decisions that were taken by the previous BJP government will be withdrawn. One was to remove certain portions added to the school syllabus, and the other was on the anti-conversion law. I'll take you through both these issues in just a bit, but the political fight is about an overarching thought. The Congress believes BJP's decisions were politically motivated and were to pander to one section of the society. Incidentally, that's the exact reason why the BJP believes that the current dispensation wants to roll these decisions back. In fact, even during a heated pre-election campaign, the BJP, including the Prime Minister, who was the star campaigner of the Saffron Party, had tagged the Congress Party and claimed that they were in reverse gear. The BJP, in fact, said that the state would go into reverse gear if the Congress was voted to power. That narrative, of course, perhaps didn't find resonance with the voters. The Congress is voted to power. They are now in government there. For the Congress, this is a much-needed course correction. So which one is it? Before we open that up, let's deep dive into what exactly the issue is. Now, there is a checklist of the things that the Congress Party in Karnataka has its eye on. There are at least 5 of those decisions. Number 1 was to revise the Karnataka government school syllabus. That has been done. That was the first decision that they decided to repeal. The second decision was to repeal the anti-conversion law. That too, done today in the cabinet meeting. The next, revoking the hijab ban in school. The Congress has been talking about revoking and allowing students to wear the hijab in educational institutions if they want to. That is under consideration. Another contentious law that was brought in by the BJP was the cow slaughter law. It's contentious, I say, because that's what the Congress says, and which is why they want to reverse it. That too is under consideration. Another thing that is under consideration by the Congress Party is that of the national education policy. Remember, when the NEP was brought in, there were several questions that were being raised, not just by the Congress, but many within the opposition, of what exactly the motive was. It was alleged that this was saffronization of education, which is exactly what the Congress also claims. They're now considering scrapping of the NEP altogether as far as the state of Karnataka goes. Now, let's start with the first issue at hand, the war over school curriculum. The Karnataka government has not just removed certain portions, but they've made certain additions as well. Chapters on Savitribai Phule, a poem on Baba Sahib Ambedkar, I beg your pardon, and letters that were penned by Jawaharlal Nehru are added. What's been erased is RSS founder Keshav Baliram Hedgewar's speech. Chapters that were talking about Vinayak Damodar Savarkar have also been taken off. lessons that were written by Hindutva ideologue Chakravarti Suribere, those two have now been taken off. Next on the list for the Congress government, for the Karnataka government, is the anti-conversion law. A law that has been passed by many BJP ruled states. That too will be withdrawn, says the government, and will be done so on the floor of the assembly when it convenes next. Let's take a quick look at what's transpired so far. In 2021, in December, this bill was adopted by the Legislative Assembly that happened in Belagavi. On 17th May 2022, an ordinance was cleared by the Karnataka governor. The Karnataka government got this anti-conversion law via the ordinance route. 28th September 2022, the Karnataka governor gives his assent to the bill. 21st September 2022, it was passed by a voice vote even as the opposition walked out. So the ordinance was ratified and then became a bill. 15th September 2022, the Legislative Council passed this bill. 15th June this year, that is today, the Siddaramaiah government has decided to repeal this particular law. There is no space for this law, says the Congress government. Now, the allegation against this act is that it's misused. A particular community is being targeted, and that was the only reason why this law was brought in, is the allegation by the Congress party, which is why they want to revoke it. But Karnataka is not the only government to have brought in this law. Neither is the BJP the only party to do so. Let's take you through all the other states in the country where an anti-conversion law is in place. Beginning with Odisha, it was implemented way back in 1967. Arunachal Pradesh, the law was implemented in 1978. It was never enforced though. As far as Chhattisgarh is concerned, it was implemented in 2000. It was amended in 2006 again. Tamil Nadu, it was implemented in 2002. It was repealed in 2006 when there was a government change. Gujarat, it was implemented in 2003. An amendment came to the fore in 2006. It's still in place there in Gujarat. As far as Rajasthan is concerned, the bills were introduced in 2006 and 2008. They did not get the governor or the president's assent, which is why they were in abeyance. As far as Jharkhand goes, it was implemented in 2017. Uttarakhand, another state, implemented this particular anti-conversion law in 2018. Uttar Pradesh brought in an ordinance in 2020. The bill was then passed in the assembly in 2021, a year later. Madhya Pradesh, an ordinance was brought in 2020. The bill passed in 2021 under the BJP government. Karnataka, it was implemented in 2022, and like I pointed out, it was done so via the route of an ordinance. In Haryana too, in 2022, an anti-conversion law was implemented. So what exactly seems to be the issue as far as Karnataka goes, as far as these two decisions go? Is it about course correction like the Congress says, or is it about vote bank compulsion like the BJP alleges?